up, if so? Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much. So, yeah, I am one of the many members of the Global Columbia Collaboratory. I am in a team with Jaslene and Yanhua, and of course myself. And as you might already know, our project is called Silver Lining, and it is simply a podcast about East Asia during the pandemic. Where this idea sprung from was the fact that Yanhua and I are both dual degree members at Sciences Po. And we were specifically at a campus that took a look at East Asia. We both had an academic and also personal interest in East Asia, and it definitely seemed to be a pertinent area in terms of trying to understand this pandemic a bit better. Kind of from personal just curiosity, we wanted to talk to East Asian scholars. So we started looking at East Asian scholars from Colombia in particular, and we wanted to discuss with them to make the world of academia less esoteric and more accessible. Essentially, from doing some research on different podcasts and other platforms, we realized that a lot of podcasts that are more academic and a bit more niche existed, but we wanted to find a way to make that more accessible to everybody, including ourselves. And in doing so, we wanted to make sense of the pandemic and exercise empathy, which seemed very much in the spirit of the Global Columbia Collaboratory. So thus far, we've been able to get out 2 episodes to give you a taste of what they're like. The first episode is featuring Yang Jie Huang, a PhD student studying late imperial and modern Chinese history. And in that episode, we took a look at his research on sacrifice in China to study the notion of sacrifice since the 1960s to the present day and how that translates to some of the current events that's happening right now, especially between China and the US. Our second episode features Peter Moody, who is also a PhD student studying Korean history. And we decided to label this episode When the Medium Becomes More Powerful Than the Message, because he researches the ideological use of music and pop music in North Korea, as well as themes of sports diplomacy between North and South Korea and North Korea during the pandemic. So I hope these topics speak to you to a certain extent. And to give you an idea of some of the concepts that came up, this is some of the social media stuff that we've been coming up with. You can see that our first episode, we have some quotes such as every crisis has to be fought like a war when speaking about the pandemic, as well as sacrifice was not just an intellectual concept, but a practice when we're discussing the notion of sacrifice in China. So essentially, through this collaboratory, myself and my teammates have been able to learn a lot from these folks, but what we really want to do is generate a conversation. So we really hope that you'll be able to find us on our different platforms. We have this Instagram account that we just started, and in the bio, as well as on this page, you can see that there's a link for our website, as well as different podcast sharing platforms. So that's pretty much all I have at the moment.